It was 4 a.m. in a quiet New York apartment. While the city slept, a CEO sat alone at his desk, laser-focused, sipping black coffee, mapping out the next billion-dollar move. No buzzing phone, no scrolling, no noise. Just deep, intentional focus. But here's what most people don't know. That same CEO once struggled just like you, drowning in emails, trapped in endless scrolling, fighting through mental fog. What changed? He unlocked a hidden skill most people never master: the art of focus. Now ask yourself, what if you had that same power? The power to tune out distractions, sharpen your mind, and use your time like it actually matters. In this audiobook, The Hidden Art of Focus, How to Crush Distractions Like CEOs, you'll discover how high performers train their brains for clarity, how they protect their time like a weapon, and how you can too, starting now. Whether you're a student chasing clarity, a creative stuck in chaos, or a dreamer tired of delay, this is your blueprint to breakthrough. Because once you master this art, distractions don't stand a chance. Chapter 1. The War for Your Attention. The neuroscience of distraction. Why your brain struggles to focus. It's wild when you really stop and think about it. Your brain wasn't built for the world we live in today. The endless pings, buzzing notifications, tabs stacked like Jenga blocks, dopamine-charged apps designed to keep you hooked. It's not that you're lazy or broken. It's that your brain is overwhelmed, and understanding why your mind struggles to focus isn't just fascinating, it's freeing. See, your brain evolved to constantly scan for danger and opportunity. Back in the day, that meant looking out for predators or sudden threats in the environment. Fast forward to today, and those same neural systems are reacting to TikTok alerts, email dings, trending headlines, and that new message you're dying to check. Every single notification you hear triggers a small burst of dopamine, the brain's way of saying, hey, this might be important. But here's the twist. The more often your brain gets those little hits, the more it craves them, so you start to feel restless when you're doing deep work. Your brain searches for something, anything, to reward it again. It's not your fault. You're biologically wired to chase novelty. That's why it feels easier to scroll than to study, easier to jump between tasks than sit still with one idea. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and focus, gets overworked in a world full of noise. And the more it's interrupted, the harder it becomes to get back on track. It's like trying to write a novel in the middle of a crowded party. You might hear your own thoughts for a second, but then someone spills a drink, someone else laughs too loudly, and suddenly you've lost your place. Now here's where it gets interesting. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to return to full focus after an interruption. Let that sink in. Even that tiny, I'll just check it real quick moment can steal half an hour of your creative energy. And when you multiply that by the dozens of micro-distractions we face every day, you're burning through hours of potential, one click at a time. But there's a powerful truth hiding in all this. If you understand how your brain reacts to distraction, you can learn to beat it, not by becoming a robot, not by cutting yourself off from the world, but by working with your brain instead of against it. Imagine being able to sit down and drop into deep, immersive focus, where time fades and your work flows effortlessly, where your phone's buzz doesn't break your stride because your mind is tuned to something more rewarding, that state of presence, of control, of clarity. It's not a fantasy, it's a skill. And once you learn how to harness your attention, you won't just resist distractions, you'll become immune to them. So stay with me, because what comes next will show you exactly how to do that. This isn't about willpower, it's about neuroscience. And once you understand how to reclaim your mind, everything else, your goals, your growth, your power, starts falling into place. How modern tech hijacks your mental bandwidth. Imagine sitting down to do something important, maybe write, maybe think, maybe just breathe for a second, and within 2 minutes, your phone lights up. A message, then an alert, then an urge to check Instagram. You don't even remember unlocking your phone. It just happens. And before you know it, 30 minutes have slipped away. Not because you're weak, but because modern tech is designed to steal your mind on purpose. See, your mental bandwidth, your ability to focus, think clearly, solve problems, is limited. You only get so much each day, like battery life. And today's tech companies? They've built billion-dollar empires learning exactly how to drain that battery for profit. The apps you use, the feeds you scroll, the videos you can't stop watching, they're not random. They're scientifically crafted to hijack your brain's reward system. You know that satisfying little buzz when you get a notification? That's dopamine. A feel-good chemical your brain releases when it thinks you've done something worthwhile. Tech platforms figured that out. And now they hit you with those little micro-rewards constantly. Likes, comments, views, pings, all designed to keep you coming back for more. They don't just want your time. They want your attention, your decisions, your focus. Because the longer you stay, the more they win. But here's what they don't tell you. Every time you switch from what matters to what's calling from your screen, you're paying a hidden cost. Tiny pieces of your mental energy are chipped away. A quick scroll becomes 5. A text turns into a full-blown mental detour. Your brain, constantly interrupted, struggles to return to deep thought. You're bouncing between tasks, like a browser with 1,000 tabs open, and each one eats into your clarity. It's like trying to write a novel while someone keeps tapping your shoulder. You might be brilliant, you might have genius ideas waiting. But if your focus is being shattered every few minutes by engineered distractions, those ideas never get to land. You stay stuck in shallow thinking, always reacting, never creating. And this isn't just annoying, it's exhausting. That drained, foggy, anxious feeling you get after hours of just checking things? That's not your fault. That's tech burnout. Your brain wasn't built for this constant attention war. It needs silence, space, depth, and when you don't get that, it starts to suffer. But here's the truth, they can't monetize. Your attention is one of the most powerful forces you own. When you learn how to protect it, how to reclaim it from apps, tabs, and distractions, you start living on your terms again. You think deeper, feel calmer, move with intention. So the next time you feel the urge to reach for your phone mid-task, pause. Ask yourself, is this what I want or what they want me to want? Because once you see how modern tech hijacks your mind, you can't unseen it. And from that moment forward, you're no longer just a user. You're a conscious creator of your focus, your time, and your life. And that changes everything. Rewiring your brain for clarity and control. Rewiring your brain for clarity and control isn't about becoming a machine or living some kind of rigid, monk-like life where you avoid every distraction and meditate on a mountain for years. No, it's about finally feeling like you're in charge again. Like you can sit down, think clearly, follow through on what matters, and actually feel good about how your time was spent, without the guilt, without the chaos, and without the noise always pulling at your attention. Your brain, right now, is running on patterns, most of them invisible, automatic, and deeply trained. And if you've spent years living in a world of endless notifications, multitasking, and mental juggling, then chances are your brain has been wired to crave stimulation, not clarity. It's not your fault. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. Because the beauty of the brain is this: it can change. Every time you choose focus over distraction, silence over noise, one clear task over 100 open tabs, you're not just making a small decision. You're laying down new neural tracks, tiny rewrites in your brain's coding. Think of it like building a trail in the woods. The more you walk that new path, the clearer it gets. The old overgrown road of scattered attention, it starts to fade. It begins with small choices, waking up and resisting the urge to immediately check your phone, choosing to give one task your full presence. No music, no multitasking, just your mind and the work, taking 5 minutes to breathe and do nothing before jumping into your day. These moments seem tiny, almost too simple to matter, but they do, because they send a signal to your brain, this is the new normal. And something amazing starts to happen. Your mind gets quieter, your thoughts get sharper. You stop feeling like you're chasing a million things and start feeling like you're leading your life, not reacting to it. You remember things better. You listen more deeply. You begin to feel a kind of inner space open up, space that used to be filled with noise, now available for clarity, creativity, and calm. The truth is, we've forgotten what it feels like to just be with our thoughts. We've been trained to believe that stillness is boring, that boredom is a problem, that silence must be filled. But that's where your real power is. That's where control lives, not in doing more, but in choosing better. You're not broken. Your brain isn't lazy or scattered by nature. It's simply been overwhelmed, rewired by a world that profits off your attention. But now you know. And with that awareness comes a new power. The power to retrain, reshape, and rewire. This is a journey. It won't happen overnight. But every step you take, every mindful pause, every intentional moment, every time you guard your focus, you're teaching your brain a new way of being, a way rooted in presence, clarity, and control. And soon, you'll look back and realize you don't miss the chaos. You don't miss the noise. You don't miss the old way of living, because you've rewired your mind not just to function, but to thrive. And the best part? You did it, on your own terms. Chapter 2. Focus like a CEO, what high performers do differently. Rituals and daily systems of top-level executives. If you could peek into the daily life of a high-performing CEO, not just the polished Instagram moments or media interviews, but the quiet rituals behind closed doors, you'd probably be surprised by how simple their systems actually are. Not flashy, not dramatic, but deeply intentional. Every hour has a purpose. Every action supports focus. And what looks like superhuman productivity is really just a set of deeply ingrained habits, repeated daily, with ruthless consistency. Let's be real. Most of us wake up and are immediately pulled into the storm. Notifications, emails, news alerts, the pressure to do more, respond faster, keep up. Our mornings don't belong to us. But the top 1% of performers, they guard their mornings like sacred ground. It's not an accident. It's a ritual. For many of them, the day doesn't start with emails or to-do lists. It starts with intent. Maybe it's meditation, a silent walk, reading a few pages of something meaningful, writing in a journal. Some CEOs literally schedule time just to think, not to problem solve, not to react, just to let their mind breathe and organize itself. Why? Because they know, if you don't own the first hour of your day, the rest of your day will own you. And it's not just about mornings. These people build little rituals into the entire rhythm of their day. Some set alarms, not to wake up, but to shut down, to stop working, to step away. Because clarity doesn't come from grinding harder. It comes from honoring your brain's need for cycles. Focus, then recovery. Work, then reset. What's fascinating is that many top execs have surprisingly boring routines. They eat the same breakfast, wear the same types of clothes. Why? Because decision fatigue is real. The fewer micro-decisions they waste energy on, the more brain power they preserve for what really matters. They automate the small stuff so they can dominate the big stuff. Even how they handle distractions is intentional. Most don't live in their inboxes. They batch their communication, specific times of day, tight windows, no exceptions. Phone on silent, notifications off. They've trained their teams to respect boundaries, not because they're aloof, but because they understand that their real job isn't to be reactive. It's to stay sharp, present, and creative. And you can't do that if your attention is constantly being hijacked. You see, what separates high-level performers isn't that they have more time. It's that they've decided what matters before the chaos begins. They don't wait for motivation. They create systems that remove friction, reduce decision fatigue, and support deep focus, even on the hardest days. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be a CEO to apply this. You don't need a fancy office, a private chef, or a personal assistant. You just need a willingness to be intentional, to take your time seriously, to build a few small rituals into your day that anchor you, ground you, sharpen you. Because once you do, you'll start to notice something powerful. You feel less overwhelmed. You get more done in less time. You stop chasing clarity and start creating it. And little by little, your life begins to reflect not the chaos of the world, but the rhythm of your purpose. The world may never slow down, but you can. You can create space. You can design, focus. And just like those high-level executives, you can build a life that runs on purpose, not on panic. The only difference? They started before most people even thought it was possible. Now, it's your turn. Stay with me for next. You won't want to miss it. The mindset shift, treating attention as a currency. Imagine for a second that every time you checked your phone, scrolled through Instagram, or clicked on a YouTube video that wasn't intentional, someone reached into your wallet and took $1. Doesn't sound fun, right? But here's the thing. That's exactly what's happening. Not with your money, but with something far more valuable. Your attention. See, attention isn't just a passive thing. It's currency. Real powerful currency. And every day, you're spending it, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, what are you buying with it? Think about it. Your attention is what drives every decision you make. What you notice becomes what you think about. What you think about becomes what you believe. And what you believe becomes your reality. It's no exaggeration to say that the quality of your life is directly tied to what you consistently pay attention to. So when you give it away freely, without intention, you're literally selling off pieces of your future for nothing in return. That's why this mindset shift is so important. You have to start treating your attention the way the wealthy treat their investments, with strategy, with protection, with purpose. It's not about paranoia, it's about power. Because the truth is, the digital world is designed to make you forget that your attention is valuable. Every app you open, every ad you scroll past, every headline you glance at, someone wants your attention, not because they care about you, but because they know that if they can get it, they can monetize it. They can shape your behavior, your choices, your time. But here's the plot twist most people miss. You get to decide who gets a slice of your focus. You get to say, no, this moment belongs to me. You get to redirect that energy into your goals, your growth, your peace. When you do that, you stop being a product and start becoming a producer. It starts small. Maybe it's choosing not to check your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it's setting a timer when you work so your focus isn't interrupted. Maybe it's just asking, is this helping me or hijacking me? Every time you're tempted to click something random. These micro decisions are how you build macro clarity. And the best part? When you start guarding your attention like currency, you start earning compound interest. You're no longer scattering your energy in 10 directions. You're building momentum in one. Ideas come faster, solutions feel clearer, confidence grows. You're not as tired because your brain isn't being pulled in 1,000 directions. Suddenly you realize you don't need more hours in a day. You just need to reclaim the ones you already have. And once you see your attention for what it really is, a form of power, you won't want to waste it on noise. You'll want to invest it in peace, in mastery, in building something that actually means something. So the next time you feel that pull to check out, zone out, scroll endlessly, pause. Ask yourself, is this a smart investment, or am I paying a high price for a cheap distraction? Because attention isn't free, and you're not a bottomless source of it. But when you own it, when you direct it, you become dangerous, focused, clear, and unstoppable. And that's when everything begins to change. Stay with me for next. You won't want to miss it. Focus as a leadership tool, not just a personal habit. We usually think of focus as this quiet personal thing, something you work on alone, in your room, with noise-canceling headphones and a to-do list. And sure, that's part of it. But here's the real plot twist. Focus isn't just about getting your own stuff done. It's a leadership tool. One of the most powerful, underrated tools any leader has. Think about someone you admire as a leader. Someone who doesn't just get results, but inspires people to follow them, to trust them, to believe in what they're building. Now ask yourself, what's the one thing they all seem to have in common? It's not that they're the loudest, or the smartest, or the busiest. It's that when they're in the room, they're present. Fully. Not scattered, not distracted. When they speak, it's clear. When they listen, it's deep. And when they act, it's intentional. That's not just focus. It's directional energy. And people feel it. Because in a world where everyone's attention is fractured, a focused person stands out like a lighthouse in the fog. People naturally gravitate to them. Why? Because clarity is magnetic. When a leader is focused, the team knows what matters. They stop spinning their wheels. They stop second-guessing. They move with purpose, not panic. But here's where it gets really interesting. Focus is infectious. It spreads. If a leader is calm and laser-locked on the mission, it gives the team permission to do the same. But if a leader is scattered, always reacting, constantly shifting gears, jumping from fire to fire, guess what happens? The whole culture turns chaotic, confused, stressed. People start working harder, but accomplishing less. Burnout creeps in. Not because they don't care, but because they don't know where to aim their energy. So focus becomes more than a personal productivity hack. It becomes a signal that says, this is where we're going, this is what matters now. Block out the noise, let's move. That's real leadership, not micromanaging, not motivational speeches, but modeling focused action. And it's not always easy. Leaders get pulled in 100 directions too, but the best ones create systems to protect their focus. They don't say yes to everything. They don't chase every idea. They say, this is the vision. Let's cut what doesn't move us toward it. That kind of discipline, that's what turns ideas into empires. Let's be real. Anyone can be busy. Anyone can look important, jumping from task to task. Inbox always full. But that's not leadership. Leadership is being the calm in the storm, the one who sees the path when others can't. And that level of vision? It's not granted. It's earned through focus. So maybe it's time to stop treating focus like it's just something you do when you want to finish a project. Maybe it's time to start seeing it as how you lead, how you show up, how you guide others. Because when you master your focus, you don't just get more done, you help everyone around you rise. And that's the kind of influence that lasts. Stay with me for next chapter, you won't want to miss it. Chapter 3. Designing your focus fortress. Crafting your environment for distraction-proof work. Let's be honest. Most of us aren't distracted because we lack discipline. We're distracted because we're trying to stay focused in an environment that's designed to pull us apart. Think about it. We live in a world that's constantly nudging us. A ding here, a buzz there. One glance at your phone turns into 40 minutes of scrolling, and suddenly, the task that mattered most is buried beneath a pile of dopamine hits. It's not your fault. But here's the game changer. You can take your power back, not by trying harder, but by designing your space to work with your brain, not against it. Imagine walking into a room that feels like it was built for one thing, your focus. No chaos, no clutter, no unnecessary decisions. Just a space that quietly tells your brain, it's time to dial in. That's the kind of environment high performers craft, not by accident, but by intention. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't need floor-to-ceiling windows and a $1,200 ergonomic chair. It could be a corner of your bedroom, a kitchen table before sunrise, or a spot in a coffee shop with your headphones on. What matters is how you shape that space to signal deep work mode. Start small. Clear the clutter. Even just tidying your desk has a psychological effect. It tells your mind, I'm here to do this, not everything else. Add objects that ground you, a notebook you love writing in, a quote that centers you, even a scent that cues your brain it's time to lock in. We're more Pavlovian than we like to admit, and that's a good thing when you use it on purpose. And then, boundaries. If your phone is within reach, it's not neutral. It's a loaded weapon against your focus. Every app on that screen is fighting for your attention like a toddler tugging on your sleeve. So put it out of sight. Literally. In a drawer, another room, airplane mode, whatever works. Just make your environment quiet again. Even the way you set up your digital space matters. Too many tabs? Too many icons? All of that creates micro-distractions. It's like your screen is shouting 1,000 tiny what-ifs every second. Tame it. Close what you're not using. Use full screen. Block sites if you need to. Remember, you're not weak for being distracted. You're human in an overstimulated world. But you can take control. Lighting, sound, posture. These things influence more than we think. Warm lighting reduces stress. Natural light boosts clarity. Low ambient noise or instrumental music can actually increase concentration. Test things. Tweak them. Make it yours. Here's the real secret. When you shape your space to minimize distractions, you don't just create better focus, you create a sense of safety for your brain. A signal that says, hey, nothing's gonna pull you off course right now. You're safe to go deep. And that's where flow lives. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where the work you're proud of comes from. So don't just fight distraction. Design against it. Turn your environment into your quiet partner, one that gently but firmly keeps you anchored to what matters most. And once you feel what it's like to work without friction, you'll never want to go back. Because the moment your environment starts supporting your mind, your potential stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a rhythm. Eliminating friction, cues, triggers, and routines that support flow. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to get started on something, even if it's important, even if it's meaningful, when your brain just isn't in the zone? You sit down to work and suddenly remember 10 other things you could be doing. You check your email, you scroll for a second, you think, maybe I'll just get a snack first. And boom, momentum lost. Again. The truth is, most of the time, the problem isn't motivation. It's friction. Little invisible things between you and your focus. Tiny speed bumps that add just enough resistance to throw you off course. But here's the exciting part. You can eliminate that friction. You can make it easier to start, easier to stay in flow, easier to do the things you care about without it feeling like a mental wrestling match every single time. It begins with cues. Our brains love cues. Little triggers that tell us, now we do this. It's the same way you smell fresh coffee, and your body immediately feels like, the day's beginning. You can build those kinds of cues into your day, on purpose. Maybe it's lighting a specific candle when you sit down to write, or playing a certain playlist, or sipping tea from the same mug before you start deep work. These aren't random habits. They're anchors. Anchors that tell your brain, we're entering focus mode now. Then there are the triggers, things you remove to prevent being pulled off track. You know yourself better than anyone. If checking Instagram always derails you, don't rely on willpower. Just move the app off your home screen, or delete it until you're done. If your email inbox makes your brain spin in 100 directions, don't open it first thing. Triggers aren't just about what we start. They're about what we interrupt. Because the smoother the on-ramp to focus, the faster you reach flow. And let's talk routines, not the rigid soul-sucking kind. I'm talking about rhythms, the kind that make your day feel like it's unfolding with intention, not just reacting to noise. Imagine waking up and not immediately diving into chaos, but having a simple, repeatable flow. Hydrate, move your body, review your goals, cue your mind. This doesn't have to be long or complicated. It just has to be yours, something that makes the transition from life to work feel natural and energizing. Because once you design routines that serve your goals, not drain them, you'll realize something powerful. The less you have to think about getting started, the more energy you have to stay in the zone. That's the magic. That's what top performers do, not by having superhuman discipline, but by removing the drag that most people ignore. Picture this. You sit down, your environment is quiet, your tools are ready, your mind is primed by familiar cues. There's nothing pulling at you, no uncertainty about what to do. You start, and within minutes, you're in it, fully present, fully engaged. The world melts away. That's flow. And it's not a mystery. It's designed. And here's what's wild. When you eliminate friction, you start to trust yourself again. You stop dreading work. You stop feeling guilty. You stop believing the lie that you're lazy or scattered or broken. You realize you were just surrounded by noise, but now you're in command. So think about your life. Where is friction hiding? Where are the unnecessary choices, the sneaky triggers, the random clutter stealing your focus? And what tiny changes could you make today, not tomorrow, to carve a smoother path into the work that matters most? Because once you feel how good it is to flow freely, with no drag, no delay, you'll wonder how you ever worked any other way. Digital boundaries that guard your attention. Let's be honest. Your phone knows you better than some of your closest friends. It knows exactly how to pull you in. It lights up, buzzes, flashes a little red notification bubble, and just like that, you're checking something you had no intention of checking. You think, it'll just take a second. But 45 minutes later, you're scrolling through someone's vacation you didn't even ask for. And your focus? Gone. That's not your fault. These platforms were designed to do that. To hack your attention, to break your focus, to make you the product. But here's the beautiful twist. They only win if you let them. And that's where digital boundaries come in. Think of them like a force field around your mind. A way of protecting your peace, your goals, your mental bandwidth. You wouldn't let random strangers walk into your house all day long and start shouting at you, right? But that's what happens when you leave your digital doors wide open. Notifications ping, alerts buzz, emails sneak in like uninvited guests. No wonder it's hard to concentrate. No wonder you feel tired before you've even done anything meaningful. You're under siege. So here's the shift. You stop being reactive, and you start being deliberate. You reclaim your space. You set rules for your tech, instead of letting tech set rules for you. Start small. Turn off non-essential notifications. Seriously, why does your phone need to notify you every time someone posts a meme or likes your old photo? You're not missing out. You're gaining clarity. Next, try this. Set focus hours on your phone. Let people know you're not available during that time. It might feel weird at first, like you're unplugging from the world, but really, you're plugging back into yourself. And here's the wild part. When you draw those lines, people respect them. They might even start doing the same. Because deep down, we're all tired of being distracted. We just need permission to say, not now, I'm doing something important. Now you might be wondering, but what if I miss something urgent? Let's get real. How often is it truly urgent? Most things can wait 30 minutes, an hour, and the things that can't? You can set specific alerts only for those. You're not cutting yourself off. You're choosing what gets in. Some people even create tech-free zones, like no phones in the bedroom, or a phone-free first hour in the morning. Can you imagine starting your day without instantly checking your messages or your feed? Instead, you breathe. You think. You decide what kind of day you want, before the world decides for you. Digital boundaries don't have to feel like restriction. They're freedom. Freedom from mental clutter. Freedom from comparison. Freedom to do your best work without constant interruption. And the craziest thing, once you create space in your mind, your creativity comes roaring back. Your energy multiplies. Your thoughts sharpen. You remember who you are when you're not being pulled in 1,000 directions. So maybe tonight, instead of falling asleep with your screen glowing inches from your face, you try a different rhythm. Maybe tomorrow, instead of grabbing your phone the moment you wake up, you sit for a moment. Stretch. Breathe. Choose your thoughts. before a stranger's post chooses them for you. Digital boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and you get to choose what enters. That kind of control, that's where power lives. And once you taste it, you'll never want to go back. Stay with me for next chapter, you won't want to miss it. Chapter 4. The Deep Work Blueprint. Training your brain for longer concentration. Imagine this. You sit down to work, full of energy, clear goals in mind, and just 5 minutes in, your brain starts wandering. Suddenly, you remember you need to check an email. Then you're reading a message, and before you know it, you're watching a video about how flamingos sleep on one leg. The day slips through your fingers like water, and you're left wondering, why can't I just focus? The truth is, your brain's not broken, it's just untrained. You see, we live in a world that's engineered for short bursts of attention. Scrolling, tapping, swiping, everything is designed to give us instant gratification. But deep work? The kind that changes your life, builds your future, fulfills your purpose, that takes sustained attention. And the good news? You can train your brain to do it. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Think of your focus like a candle flame in the wind. Every little breeze, whether it's a notification, a wandering thought, or the itch to check your phone, tries to blow it out. But with training, you can shield that flame. You can build it into a torch, bright, steady, unshakable. One powerful way to begin is with something deceptively simple: time blocks. Pick a task, set a timer for 10 minutes. That's it. Just 10. During that time, no switching, no checking, no multitasking. Your brain will fight back. It'll beg you to check just one thing. It might even panic. But if you can sit through the discomfort, if you can stay present, something magical happens. Your brain starts to learn. This is what we do now. We stay. After a few days, bump it up to 15 minutes, then 20. Like adding reps at the gym, your concentration starts to stretch. You'll begin noticing something amazing. Those thoughts that used to constantly interrupt you, they start showing up less. The noise quiets down. You gain clarity. And here's the kicker. When you're really focused, time begins to bend. An hour feels like 10 minutes. But your output? It's powerful, clean, satisfying. You end the day proud, not drained. But here's the emotional piece most people miss. This isn't just about productivity. This is about trust. Every time you sit down and truly focus, you're telling yourself, I can do hard things. I follow through. I respect my time. That builds self-respect. That builds identity. You start to feel different. You become different. Now, you might be wondering, what if I keep getting distracted no matter what? That's okay. It's not about being perfect. It's about coming back, again and again. That moment you notice your mind has wandered, that's not failure. That's training. That's your brain lifting the weight. Every return to the task is a rep. Eventually, something incredible happens. Your ability to enter flow becomes faster, easier. You start craving that deep, uninterrupted focus. Because it feels good, it's nourishing, it connects you to something bigger than the endless scroll. So if you've ever said, I just don't have a long attention span, stop saying it. That's not who you are, that's who you've been trained to be. And just like you were trained to chase dopamine hits, you can retrain yourself to chase something deeper: meaning, mastery, momentum. Start today, set the timer. Breathe through the urge to quit. And when your mind wanders, and it will, smile, and gently return. That moment right there, that's you getting stronger. And once you feel the power of a fully focused mind, you'll never want to go back to scattered. You'll start to wonder, what else have I been capable of this whole time? Managing mental fatigue and energy dips. You know that moment in the middle of the day when everything just slows down? Your brain feels foggy, your motivation takes a nosedive, and even the simplest task, like replying to an email, feels like climbing a mountain barefoot. You stare at your screen, trying to force focus, but it's like your thoughts are stuck in molasses. That's not laziness, that's mental fatigue. And if it's been happening a lot lately, you're not alone. We often think energy is just about sleep or food, but mental energy, the stuff that fuels our ability to think, create, and focus, is a whole different game. It gets used up quietly. Every decision, every distraction, every ping and buzz slowly drains that battery. And here's the scary part. You usually don't notice until it's already running on fumes. Think about how you feel after hours of switching tabs, answering messages, jumping between tasks, and trying to stay productive. It's no wonder you're exhausted. Your brain's been running a marathon while you've been sitting in one place. But managing that fatigue, it starts with awareness. Notice the dips. They usually come at predictable times, mid-morning, after lunch, late afternoon. Instead of pushing harder when your mind is begging for a break, what if you leaned into it? What if you actually honored your brain's rhythm instead of fighting it? Because here's the truth. Breaks aren't a luxury. They're a strategy. A 5-minute reset walk. A moment with your eyes closed, breathing deeply. A screen-free lunch where you actually taste your food. These aren't lazy indulgences. They're powerful tools to recharge your brain. You wouldn't expect your phone to keep working without plugging it in. Why do we expect more from ourselves? One trick that might surprise you: change your scenery. Even if it's just walking to another room, sitting by a window, or stepping outside for fresh air, your brain thrives on novelty. It shakes up the mental cobwebs. It whispers to your body, "Hey, we're still alive. Let's reset." And let's talk about hydration. Seriously, that sluggish, foggy feeling? Sometimes it's just your brain crying out for water. Mental fatigue often disguises itself as boredom or irritability. Try a tall glass of water before you reach for caffeine again. You might be amazed. Now, here's something deeper, more emotional. Sometimes, our mental exhaustion comes from the stories we tell ourselves. That we have to be productive every second. That rest is weakness. That we're not doing enough. And those silent pressures, they drain you more than any task ever could. You deserve to feel sharp, present, energized. And it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, at the right time, with the right mindset. So next time you hit that wall in the afternoon, don't just grit your teeth and push through. Pause. Listen. What is your body asking for? What would it feel like to reset instead of wrestle with the fatigue? Because once you learn how to ride those energy waves, once you stop treating mental dips as a failure and start treating them as a signal, something amazing happens. You stop burning out. You start building resilience. You discover the rhythm that lets you focus when it matters and rest when it counts. And here's the twist. When you learn to manage your mental energy, you get more done in less time. You stop running on empty. You create from a place of clarity. And you realize maybe you weren't broken. Maybe you were just tired. And now you're learning to fuel up the smart way. Creating a rhythm of work that enhances focus, not drains it. Have you ever ended a day feeling completely drained, yet somehow unsure of what you even accomplished? Like you were busy the entire time, but your brain feels scattered and your to-do list is still smirking at you with half-checked boxes. That feeling, that quiet frustration, is often a sign that your rhythm of work is out of sync with how your brain actually works best. Here's the thing no one really teaches us. Focus doesn't thrive on chaos. It thrives on rhythm. Not rigid routines or robotic schedules, but a flow that matches your energy, respects your brain's natural patterns, and builds momentum instead of draining it. Imagine your day like a song. If every note was the same loud, fast tempo, no pause, no shift, no breath, you'd burn out halfway through the chorus. But with rhythm, with contrast, with space to breathe, with intentional build-ups and rests, that's where magic happens. That's where focus lives. Most of us try to power through tasks like we're machines. Wake up, hustle hard, drink coffee, answer emails, try to do everything at once, and then wonder why our creativity feels flat or why our motivation disappears by 2 p.m. But your brain isn't a robot. It's an instrument, and instruments need tuning, timing, and care. So what if, instead of cramming everything into a chaotic blur, You gave your work a rhythm. Start by knowing when you focus best. Is it morning, midday, late at night when the world quiets down? That's your focus zone. Guard it like treasure. Use it for deep work, the kind of tasks that really move the needle, the ones that need your full attention and energy. During that time, cut the noise. Close tabs. Turn off notifications. Let that time become sacred. Then build breaks in, real ones. Not scroll through your phone breaks that trick your brain into more stimulation. Step away, move your body, look out a window, take a breath kind of breaks. That's when your mind clears. That's when ideas connect. That's when fatigue resets. And don't forget the light work zones. Those parts of the day when your brain is a little slower. That's the perfect time for routine tasks, emails, admin, errands. You don't need peak focus for those. So don't waste your prime energy trying to force them in when your brain wants to be creative. There's also something powerful about rituals, little cues that tell your brain it's time to lock in. Maybe it's lighting a candle before you write, or playing the same instrumental playlist when you start a task. Maybe it's sipping tea at your desk or doing a quick stretch before diving in. These signals help create a rhythm, a pattern of flow your brain can count on. And here's what's wild. When you work with your brain, not against it, you don't just get more done, you feel better doing it, less frustration, less burnout, more clarity, more calm. It's not about squeezing every drop of energy from your day. It's about designing your day to give energy back to you. So if you've been grinding non-stop, feeling stuck or scattered, maybe it's not about trying harder. Maybe it's about finding your rhythm, one that fits who you are, how you think, and how you naturally flow. Because when you get that right, focus becomes effortless. And your work? It finally starts to feel right. Stay with me for next chapter, you won't want to miss it. Chapter 5. Time Mastery for Modern Minds. Planning like a high performer with focus in mind. Have you ever looked at someone you admire, maybe a top CEO, a successful creator, or just that one ridiculously productive friend, and thought, how do they get so much done without constantly burning out? It's not luck. It's not about being superhuman or having 36 hours in a day. The real secret? They plan differently. They plan like high performers, but with something most of us overlook: focus in mind. You see, most people plan reactively. They make long to-do lists, scribble tasks everywhere, try to cram in as much as possible, and hope sheer willpower carries them through. But high performers? They plan like they're protecting a limited, powerful resource, their attention. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They don't just ask, what do I need to get done? They ask, what deserves my deepest focus? That one shift changes everything. Imagine your attention is like sunlight. Spread thin, it warms the surface. But when concentrated, it becomes a laser. That's how high performers operate. They plan their days to laser in on what matters most. Just one, maybe two key things. Everything else bends around that. So instead of a chaotic list of 15 random tasks, they choose the big win for the day. Not the easiest, not the most urgent, the most impactful. The thing that, if done well, moves the needle in their life or career. They call it the one thing, the needle mover, the focus domino, whatever the name. The principle is the same: do less, but better. And here's the emotional truth most people miss. This kind of planning doesn't just make you productive, it makes you feel lighter. You stop waking up anxious and going to bed feeling like you didn't do enough. Because you did enough. You did the right thing, fully. Now here's where it gets even more intentional. High performers plan with their energy in mind. They don't schedule focus work when they're already tired or distracted. They guard their peak hours, those windows when their mind is clearest, and they block out distractions during that time. No meetings, no multitasking. Just focus on the big thing. Then they build buffer time around that deep work. Time for thinking, time for rest, time for transition. They don't pack every minute. They protect their brain's ability to focus by allowing room to breathe. Because they know, the more mental white space you have, the more creative and clear your focus becomes. They also batch their distractions. Instead of checking email every 10 minutes or replying to every message instantly, they set a time to deal with all of it at once, on their terms. That's how they stay in the zone. That's how they stay mentally present. And maybe most importantly, they don't treat focus like something that just happens. They engineer it. They plan for it. They turn off notifications. They close browser tabs. They leave their phone in another room. These aren't small things. These are rituals of mental respect, signals that say, this work matters. My attention matters. Planning like a high performer isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most, with full focus and without apology. It's about designing your day around your brain, not bending your brain to fit some overloaded plan. And once you start planning this way, it's addictive. You'll feel the shift. You'll notice how less becomes more, how clarity replaces chaos, how momentum builds quietly but powerfully. It's not just productivity. It's personal power. And it all starts with this question. What would happen if you stopped planning your day like a checklist and started planning it like your focus was sacred? Time-blocking strategies that protect deep work. Let's be real for a second. How often do you start your day with the best intentions, only to look up hours later and realize the most important thing you needed to do never even got touched? You were busy the whole time, yet somehow your focus evaporated. That's not laziness. That's the reality of living in a world that constantly steals our attention. And if you don't protect your deep work time, it will be taken from you over and over again. That's where time blocking comes in, not just as a productivity trick, but as a focus shield. Think of it like this. Your brain is a powerful engine, but it needs a clear lane to run in. Time blocking creates that lane. It's your way of saying, this time is mine. This work matters, and nothing's allowed to interrupt it. Now here's the thing. Most people misunderstand time blocking. They think it means turning your calendar into a colorful mess of back-to-back tasks and feeling guilty if they miss one. But real time blocking, the kind that protects deep work, is about designing your day for clarity, not chaos. Let me show you what that looks like. Start with your most focused hours. Everyone has them. Maybe for you it's early morning or mid-morning after coffee kicks in. Guard those hours like treasure. That's when your brain is sharpest, and that's when you schedule your most important, high-focus task. Just one. This isn't the time for admin, emails, or meetings. This is deep work only. Imagine yourself stepping into a mental fortress, shutting the door behind you, and going all in. No distractions, no outside world. Just you and the task that actually moves your life forward. Now here's where it gets interesting. Deep work doesn't need 8 hours. In fact, research shows the human brain can only do about 2 to 4 hours of true deep work in a day. That's it. So instead of feeling guilty for not grinding non-stop, you start to feel powerful for protecting those few precious hours. Time blocking helps you say, this is my deep work window. I'm unavailable to the world because I'm building something that matters. And once that window is blocked, honor it. Turn off your phone, shut down tabs, use a site blocker if you have to, put a sign on your door. Let your environment join you in this commitment. Make it a ritual, same time, same place. Your brain loves rhythms, and once it realizes, oh, it's 9 a.m., we're focusing now, it becomes easier and easier to drop into that flow. But here's the emotional shift. It's not just about squeezing productivity from your day. It's about giving yourself the gift of full presence. How often do we get to do one thing, fully, deeply, without interruption? That kind of focus feels good. It feels freeing. And the work that comes out of it, it's next level. You don't just complete things. You create things you're proud of. Of course, life isn't always predictable. Things come up. But with time blocking, you don't have to live in reactive mode anymore. You know your focus time is protected. If the day gets messy, you still win, because you already carved out your deep work. Everything else becomes extra. And here's something most people miss. You don't have to fill every hour. In fact, leave white space between blocks. Give yourself time to breathe, think transition. This isn't about cramming more in. It's about doing less, better. Your brain isn't a robot. It needs recovery. So protect your focus time, then protect your non-focus time too. That's how you stay sharp instead of burning out. So let me ask you something powerful. What would your life look like if you gave your most meaningful work your most focused time, every day, without fail? That's not a fantasy. That's a choice. Time blocking is your tool. Focus is your superpower. And the life you really want, it starts with protecting just 1 hour. Saying no with purpose to preserve your best hours. Let's talk about something that sounds so simple but feels so hard. Saying no. Not the casual, nah, maybe later kind of. No, I'm talking about the purposeful, spine-straightening, self-respecting kind of no. The one that protects your energy, your time, and your best hours, even if it makes someone else uncomfortable. Because here's the truth, every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're unconsciously saying no to what does. That project you deeply care about, that book you've been meaning to write, that morning walk that clears your head before a chaotic day, every yes to an unnecessary meeting, a favor you don't have time for, or a task you should have delegated, it steals from that. And we do it all the time, right? We say yes to avoid guilt, to avoid seeming rude, to avoid disappointing others. But in doing so, we slowly start disappointing ourselves. We drift away from the work and life we actually want, bit by bit, hour by hour. But imagine if your best hours, those golden windows where your brain is alert, creative, and alive, weren't being chipped away by distractions or obligations that don't align with your goals. What if those hours were protected, like treasure? That's where purposeful no comes in. Saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's saying, I honor my time and what I'm building too much to give it away freely. It's not cold, it's clear, it's not selfish, it's wise. It's the only way to create space for deep work, creative breakthroughs, rest, and presence. And you don't have to be rude about it. You can say no with warmth and strength at the same time. Try this. I really appreciate the invite, but I'm committed to something that needs my full focus right now. Or, thanks for thinking of me, but I need to pass to protect some focused time this week. You're not making excuses, you're making decisions. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your people-pleasing reflex might scream, but over time, something incredible happens. You start gaining respect. People notice your boundaries. They see you're someone who values their own time, and often they'll start respecting theirs more too. That's powerful leadership. And even more important, you start trusting yourself. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your highest goals, you're saying yes to the version of you who shows up fully. You begin to notice how light you feel when you're not overcommitted. How creative you feel when your calendar isn't packed wall to wall. How proud you feel when you actually finish something important without being pulled in 20 directions. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you looked at your week and felt excited instead of overwhelmed? That kind of week starts by drawing a line, saying, these are my hours for focus, for deep work, for the things that matter most, and I will not casually give them away. That's not just about time management. That's about self-leadership. That's about honoring your goals, your energy, your mental clarity. And when you make this a practice, not just once, but daily, you start seeing your life align. You gain traction. You feel momentum. So the next time you feel that pressure to say yes, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth trading my best energy for? If not, say no. With purpose, with peace, and with the deep knowing that you're building a life that truly reflects your values. And here's the twist. When you start doing this consistently, you'll find that your most powerful yes moments come from a place of joy, not obligation. Because you've made room, because you've made space. And that space, that's where your best work and your best self can finally breathe. Stay with me for next chapter. You won't want to miss it. Chapter 6. Guarding your creative energy. Avoiding decision fatigue through habit and structure. Have you ever reached the end of the day and felt completely drained, not from running around or lifting heavy things, but just from deciding what to wear, what to eat, what to reply, what to prioritize, what to ignore? It's like your brain is running on fumes by 3 p.m. And even simple choices start to feel like mental gymnastics. That's not just being tired, that's decision fatigue creeping in. And it's real. Our brains, as powerful as they are, have limits. Every choice, no matter how small, uses up a bit of mental fuel. That's why some of the most successful people in the world wear the same thing every day or eat the same breakfast. It's not because they lack variety or creativity. It's because they protect their decision-making power like gold. Think about it. If your morning starts with 5 outfit changes, scrolling through meal options and debating your to-do list, you've already burned through a chunk of your clarity before the real work begins. And by the time you need your brain to show up, deep focus, creativity, tough choices, it's already exhausted. But here's the beautiful secret. Structure is freedom. Habits aren't boring. They're your brain's support system. When you create routines that run on autopilot, you save your energy for the things that actually matter. Imagine waking up and not having to think about what to do first. You just move. You glide into your day because your morning routine is a rhythm, not a riddle. Your workspace is already set. Your tasks are prioritized from the night before. Breakfast? Already planned. Clothes? Picked the night before or simplified to a handful of go-tos. That's not being rigid. That's being smart. When your daily structure handles the low-impact decisions, your mind is free to focus on the high-impact ones, the ones that shape your future. It's like giving your brain a VIP pass to operate in its zone of genius instead of wasting energy on background noise. And the wild part is, the more you reduce small decisions, the more confident and decisive you become in the big ones. Because you're not worn down, you're sharp. You're clear. Here's what makes this emotional for a lot of people. Because deep down, we often believe that being busy or constantly responding to life is just the way it is. But it's not. We don't have to run our lives like we're putting out fires all day. We can design our days instead of constantly reacting to them. You already have habits in place. You brush your teeth without thinking, right? What if your work start time was that automatic? What if checking in with your goals every morning became second nature? What if planning your day the night before was as routine as locking the door when you leave? You'd have space. Space to breathe, to think, to create. The truth is, avoiding decision fatigue doesn't make life dull. It makes life rich. Because the best of you isn't buried under a pile of 50 micro decisions. The best of you is focused, alive, intentional. So ask yourself, what are the decisions you make every single day that drain you? What could you automate? What could become a rhythm instead of a question? Start small. Maybe it's laying out tomorrow's clothes tonight. Maybe it's meal prepping on Sundays. Maybe it's setting a shutdown routine for work that signals, okay, brain, we're done for the day. Because once you build structure that works for you, something magical happens. Life gets lighter, decisions get easier, focus gets deeper. And you, without even realizing it, start operating like the version of yourself you always knew you could be. Now, tell me, what will you make a habit so your mind is free to shine? Managing interruptions with assertive boundaries. You know that moment when you're finally in the zone, completely dialed into something important, and then, ding, a message pops up. Or someone taps your shoulder with just a quick question. And just like that, your focus is gone. It's like someone unplugged your brain right when it was about to catch fire. Frustrating, right? Let's be real. Interruptions are one of the sneakiest thieves of our productivity. And they don't just steal minutes, they steal momentum. It's not just about the time they take up. It's the mental gear shifting they force on us. You're deep in thought, fully immersed, and then suddenly yanked out. And by the time you find your way back into that flow state, it's like trying to find your place in a book that someone threw across the room. But here's the kicker. Most of these interruptions don't come from emergencies or life or death situations. They come from things we allow, and that's a hard truth. Whether it's a coworker dropping by with idle chatter, endless group chats lighting up your phone, or even your own habit of checking emails mid-task, these distractions are constantly knocking, and we keep opening the door. So what's the solution? It's not about becoming rude or building walls. It's about creating assertive boundaries, clear, kind, and firm. And believe it or not, people respect boundaries more than we give them credit for, but they can't respect what they don't know exists. Think about it like this. If your mind was a sacred workspace, would you let just anyone walk in with muddy boots? Of course not. You'd protect it. You'd say, hey, I'm in focus mode right now. Can we talk in 30 minutes? Or, I'm turning off notifications for the next hour to finish this task. If it's urgent, call me. That's not being difficult. That's being intentional. That's honoring your time and the quality of your work. And it goes deeper. Setting boundaries with others is one thing, but setting them with yourself? That's next level. Telling yourself, no, I won't check my phone during this focus session. Or, I don't need to respond to every email right this second. That's discipline. And discipline isn't a punishment. It's a gift to your future self. But I get it. Sometimes saying no feels scary. You don't want to seem unavailable or unfriendly. But what if your best work, your truest creativity, and your deepest clarity only show up when you carve out space for them? Boundaries are how you make space for greatness. Because here's the truth. Every time you say yes to an interruption, you're saying no to what matters most. But when you protect your time, even in small ways, you begin to reclaim your power. Start by identifying your top distractions. Be honest. Is it people, apps, noise? Then, create gentle but firm guardrails. Use a do not disturb sign, digitally or physically. Block out time on your calendar and label it deep work. Let your team or family know, hey, I'll be offline from 10 to 12 each day to focus. It might feel awkward at first, but then something amazing happens. You get your focus back. You finish things faster. You feel more present. You feel more you. Interruptions will always be around, but whether they take over your day or get a polite "not now" is up to you. And when you build assertive boundaries, you don't just protect your time, you protect your potential. So ask yourself, who or what is constantly walking into your mental workspace without knocking? And what's the first boundary you're ready to draw? Not out of frustration, but out of respect for your own brilliance. Let that question linger, because what comes next might just change how you work forever. Keeping creativity alive while staying disciplined. Ever feel like you're torn between two versions of yourself? One part of you craves wild, messy, unpredictable creativity. That rush of inspiration at 2 a.m., those random daydreams that spiral into brilliant ideas. And the other part? It knows you need structure, deadlines, consistency, discipline. It's like trying to be both a free-spirited artist and a well-oiled machine at the same time. Most people think creativity and discipline don't get along, that if you box yourself in with routines or rules, the magic fades. But what if that's completely backwards? What if discipline isn't creativity's enemy, but its greatest ally? Think about it. Some of the most iconic creatives, writers, musicians, designers, entrepreneurs, they didn't wait around for inspiration to strike. They showed up daily, even when they didn't feel like it. They made space for creativity by being consistent. Because here's a secret. Creativity isn't just some spark from the heavens. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it needs regular exercise to stay strong. But let's not pretend it's easy. Staying disciplined while keeping that creative flame alive? It's a balancing act. One day you're bursting with ideas. The next, it feels like your brain is made of fog. And in those moments, discipline becomes your anchor. It says, keep going. Even if it's not perfect, just show up. Picture this, a blank page. You sit down, maybe with your coffee, Maybe with music humming softly in the background. Nothing's flowing yet, you feel stuck. But you've promised yourself. Write for 30 minutes no matter what. So you do. And somewhere around minute 12, the spark flickers. A line pops out of nowhere. Then another. Suddenly, you're in it. You're not waiting for creativity to find you anymore. You're meeting it halfway. That's what discipline does. It creates a safe, predictable rhythm where creativity knows it's welcome. Like watering a plant at the same time each day. You don't force the bloom, but you create the conditions for it to thrive. Still, it's important not to let discipline become a cage. That's the other danger. When we get so rigid, so obsessed with productivity, we can strangle the joy out of the process. Creativity needs air, after all. It needs play. It needs curiosity. So the key: build structure that supports your flow, not smothers it. Maybe it's scheduling creative time into your calendar, literally blocking out an hour where you can sketch, brainstorm, or just think. Maybe it's setting boundaries around distractions, so your mind has the space to wander and make new connections. Or maybe it's as simple as carrying a notebook everywhere you go, so when inspiration does strike, you're ready. And let's not forget rest. Rest fuels creativity too. Some of your most original thoughts will sneak in while you're taking a walk, folding laundry, or doing nothing at all. It's not lazy, it's essential. Your brain needs breathing room to stitch ideas together in unexpected ways. So if you're someone who's always feared that structure would kill your creative vibe, maybe it's time to flip the script. Because the truth is, when you blend the two, discipline and creativity, you create a rhythm that's unstoppable. You stop being a when I feel like it artist and become a reliable creator, one who doesn't just chase inspiration, but builds a life where it shows up more often. Here's the beautiful twist. The more disciplined you become with your time and space, the freer your creativity feels to roam wild within it. So ask yourself, what's one small habit you could build today that gives your creativity room to grow tomorrow? Because you don't have to choose between being imaginative and being structured. You can be both. You can be a dreamer and a doer. And that's where the magic really lives. Stay with me for next chapter. You won't want to miss it. Chapter 7. Becoming Unshakable in a Distracted World. Building Resilience Against Mental Noise and Overload. You ever feel like your brain just won't shut up? Like there's 1,000 tabs open in your head, all playing different songs at the same time? One moment you're trying to focus on work, and the next, bam! You're suddenly remembering that awkward thing you said 5 years ago, worrying about tomorrow, checking your phone, doubting yourself, planning dinner, and wondering if you're even doing enough with your life. That, right there, is mental noise, and let's be honest, it's exhausting. We live in a world that never stops talking. Notifications, headlines, endless to-do lists, people's opinions, expectations. Even our own thoughts can turn into an overwhelming echo chamber. The overload isn't always loud, but it's always there, humming in the background like static. And if we're not careful, it chips away at our focus, our peace, and even our sense of self. But here's something most people don't realize. Resilience isn't about blocking out the noise. It's about learning how to dance with it. Because the noise isn't going away. Life won't suddenly become quiet and convenient. What can change is how we respond to it. Imagine your mind like a radio. Right now, it's probably flipping between stations, news, worries, goals, fears, distractions, all at once. But what if you could tune in to just one clear, calm frequency? Not by force, not by pretending the chaos doesn't exist, but by building the inner strength to pause, breathe, and choose which thoughts get your energy. It starts with noticing. Just noticing. When the thoughts start spinning, you don't have to fix them. Just become aware. Ah, there's my brain spiraling again. That's okay. That little moment of awareness, it's your anchor. It's you stepping outside the noise instead of drowning in it. Then comes the practice of resetting. That might mean journaling to dump the clutter out of your head, or taking a 5-minute walk without your phone, just you, your breath, and your footsteps. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's talking to someone who listens without judgment. These small acts aren't escapes. They're defenses. You're giving your mind the room to breathe. Resilience also grows when we stop believing every thought we have. Not every what if deserves your attention. Not every self-doubt is rooted in truth. Just because your mind says you're not doing enough doesn't mean you have to take it as law. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is reply, maybe that's just fear talking. Maybe I am doing enough. And let's talk about rest. Mental noise thrives in fatigue. When you're burned out, even tiny problems feel like mountains. That's why protecting your sleep, your breaks, your quiet time, it's not selfish. It's survival. It's how you build the mental muscles that let you stay centered, even when life gets loud. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be a Zen master. You just need to keep showing up for yourself, especially on the messy days. The more you practice returning to calm, no matter how chaotic things get, the stronger you become. That's resilience, not perfection, not silence, just the courage to come back to yourself over and over again. So next time your brain feels like it's buzzing with static, try this. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what's really demanding my attention right now? And what can I let go of, just for a little while? Because when you learn to manage the noise inside, the outside world starts to feel a lot less overwhelming. And that's when you start thinking clearly, feeling deeply, living fully. And isn't that what we're all really after? Stacking small habits that compound into unbreakable focus. Let's be real. When people talk about focus, it often sounds like some superhuman trait. Like you either wake up naturally laser-focused, ready to crush the day, or you don't. But here's the truth. Unbreakable focus isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And not through dramatic life overhauls or intense discipline marathons, but through small, often invisible habits that stack quietly, day after day, until they become your edge. Think about this. Nobody becomes wildly productive overnight. No one just wakes up with monk-like concentration because they read a motivational quote the night before. What actually happens is way less glamorous, but way more powerful. Tiny habits, repeated consistently. That's the secret. Let's say you start with something simple. You wake up and don't check your phone first thing. That alone creates space in your brain. You're no longer downloading the chaos of the world before your feet even touch the floor. It seems small, right? But it's actually a statement. I choose intention over reaction. That's one brick. Then maybe you stack another habit, 5 minutes of journaling before you start work. Not a novel, just jotting down your priorities, what matters, what doesn't, where your energy should go. That's another brick. And over time, these small rituals, they become your rhythm. They act like anchors in your day. So when the distractions come, and they will come, you're not just reacting. You've already set the tone. You've already trained your brain. Here's where I focus. Here's how I begin. And here's the magic most people miss. These habits compound, just like money in a savings account. 1% improvements each day may not feel dramatic in the moment, but give it a few weeks, you start noticing something. You're clearer, quicker to get into the zone, slower to chase distractions. You start feeling in control again, not like your day is dragging you around by the collar. You drink a glass of water before coffee. Suddenly your brain isn't foggy before noon. You set a timer for 25 minutes of deep work. Your mind starts to trust that you'll give it focus, but also rest. You shut your tabs down when one task is done. You stop the habit of mind hopping. Each of these habits is tiny on its own, but together, they're powerful. They train your brain like a muscle. They build a mental environment where focus isn't something you have to force. It becomes your natural state. The beauty is, none of this requires perfection. You're allowed to miss a day. You're allowed to slip up. What matters is that you keep coming back, keep stacking, keep building. Over time, those small wins become your armor. They become your system, and focus stops feeling like a battle. It becomes your baseline. So if you've ever felt like you just aren't a focused person, maybe the truth is, you just haven't built the right scaffolding yet, and that's okay. You don't need a grand plan, just a few good habits, repeated daily, with intention, with patience. Because when small things are done consistently, they stop being small. They start being unstoppable, and so do you. So, what's one small habit you can start stacking today? Think tiny, think doable, think daily. Because that's how the focus you've been chasing starts chasing you back. Turning your focus into a personal superpower. Imagine if you had a superpower. Not the kind you see in Marvel movies, but something far more real and incredibly valuable in today's noisy world. A power that doesn't just help you get things done, but transforms the way you live, how people see you, and how you see yourself. That superpower? It's focus. Not the kind that flickers on and off when you're motivated or caffeinated. I'm talking about deep, intentional focus that feels like a current flowing through everything you do. Now here's the twist. This isn't some magical gift reserved for the elite or the naturally disciplined. Focus is trainable, and when you treat it like a skill, something you can build rather than just hope for, it starts to unlock doors you didn't even know existed. It gives you clarity when everything else feels chaotic. It silences the mental noise, and it makes you magnetic because in a distracted world, the person who's fully present, that's rare. That's powerful. Think about the times you've been truly locked in. Maybe it was during a late-night passion project, or a book so good the world disappeared, or even a deep conversation where you lost track of time. That wasn't luck. That was your brain giving you a glimpse of what you're capable of when your attention isn't being tugged in 20 directions. And what if you could feel like that more often? See, when you turn focus into your superpower, it's not just about productivity, it's about presence. You stop feeling like you're skating across the surface of your life and start sinking deeper into it. Your work gets better, not just faster. Your relationships get richer because you're there, not half scrolling through someone's story while someone else is talking to you. You start choosing your actions with intention instead of being yanked around by impulses or algorithms. And here's what's really wild. Focus creates freedom. Most people think it's the other way around. That being focused means being restricted, rigid, or boring. But the truth is, when you focus deeply on the right things, you get more time back. You stop wasting energy on junk that doesn't move you forward. You don't need to hustle harder. You just cut through the noise faster. You get to the good stuff quicker. It's like having a mental force field. When distractions show up, because let's be real, they always will, you don't flinch. You've trained your brain to stay centered. You've made focus your default setting. And people notice. They see you showing up differently. They trust you more. They want to work with you, be around you, follow your lead. Because focus isn't just practical. It's attractive. It's rare. And rarity creates value. But the real beauty, this isn't about perfection. It's not about never getting distracted or becoming some robotic machine. It's about becoming the kind of person who comes back to focus faster, who doesn't get swept away by chaos, because you've built a kind of inner gravity, a pullback to what matters most. So maybe the better question isn't how do I stay focused? Maybe it's how do I build a life so compelling I want to focus? What if you built daily rituals that pulled you back to your purpose? What if you protected your mind like it was sacred space? Because, let's be honest, it is. What if you practiced presence like an athlete trains, knowing that each rep, each moment of clarity, was sharpening your edge? That's how focus stops being a struggle and starts becoming your superpower. And once you have that, there's no limit to what you can create, who you can become, or how deeply you can live. So, if you could use this superpower today, where would you point it first? Think about that, because your next level? It's already waiting. You just have to see it long enough to chase it. In a distracted world, your ability to focus is your superpower. So here's your next step. Comment below, What's the number one distraction holding you back right now, and what will you start doing to take your focus back? Let's make it real. Once you name it, you can change it. If this audiobook spoke to you, give it a like. It helps more focused minds find this content. And don't forget to subscribe for more full audiobooks on mindset, productivity, and high-performance habits. You don't need more time, just more focus. Now's the moment. Protect it, use it, own it.